Hello and greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And welcome to another episode of Max on Color. And today's Diego is back. Welcome back, Diego.
Hey Max, I'm finally back. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this session today.
It's been like forever. I kind of miss you, man. And it's great to have you back.
Yeah, I miss everyone. I miss the show. I was like traveling, teaching lessons in different places, but now I'm back. I'm so happy to be back.
Awesome. Awesome. And yeah, in today's episode, we are going to talk about the latest movie that we probably just watched in the cinema a couple of days ago, probably. And hi, Greg, in the chat. Nice to meet you here, Greg, and thank you for making it today. There's also Primeto in the chat. Hi. Um, Primeto is saying fix magic bullet looks. Yeah. You can write me, Primeto, or also you can write support at Max on support, so that perhaps your issue probably different than what we encounter. So if you have any problem with magic bullet looks, for example, just write to support or just write me. My email is where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Maxoncolor at maxon.net. Um, yeah, that one. And yeah, just let me know what your problem and we'll try to help you. Okay?
Good.
Yeah. Back to the topic. And last week I watched Barbie, and I think Diego has also just finished watching the movie, and we quite really love it. I think it's a movie with a special how do you call it?
But did you love it?
Aesthetics on it. I love the look, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
now you said you love the look, not love the full movie.
I, I enjoy the story. I enjoy the movie. I enjoy the movie, but I wasn't brave enough. I wasn't brave enough to take a selfie in the Barbie box.
What selfie? I mean, who is
um,
taking that selfies?
in front of the cinema, they put like the toy box that you can enter and take a pictures there. You
Wow, weird
know,
people. That's
that's
weird people.
that type of people. Like
Crazy people. The one that is doing
like
that.
like these people here, like this guy.
Crazy people, the ones that are doing
Much respect, man. is
that.
is posing in front of the Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yes, that is fun. So did you like the movie, the art, or what were the
Yeah,
best thing for
it
you?
it looks quite special, especially the montage and the look of Barbie Land. I was like really curious, how do they create that kind of like visuals? It's very colorful, but it's not loud. It's not screaming, "Hey, look at this!" It's very saturated and so on. It's quite polite, but very rich, so to say.
Yes. So,
Cecilia is in the chat. Look at that. Hi, Cecilia.
hi Cecilia, how are
How
you?
are you?
Also Jonathan.
Also, Jonathan.
That's awesome. That's great. So yeah, about me, it was weird because the first thing when I was thinking about going to Barbie, I was saying no, I will not go to Barbie. And then I was like saying, okay, I have a niece and I'm going to go with her. And then my brother said, no, you cannot go with her because it's PG-13 and,
Yeah.
and she's 5. And I was like, that's weird. That's weird. So that at some point changed my mind because I say it's Barbie. It should be for kids. It should be for, I don't know, it should be a Barbie story.
Hmm.
So at the end, it's not a Barbie story.
I
At
love
the
the
end, it's
humor.
more about what Barbie involved in our actual world,
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
something like that. And at some point, I will say it's not the kind of movie that I like it, but I enjoy it. It has really good jokes. It
Yeah. I
has
love the
bitter,
jokes, man.
yes, it has bitter humor, black humor,
Yeah.
and it was interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
there were some parts of the movie when I was like kind of boring, but there were some other when I was like, what the heck? This is so it's like the world changing. It was funny. It was funny. I enjoy it. People are
Yeah.
in the theater are loving
Yeah.
a lot. So I actually encourage people that are afraid at some point, or
Yeah.
not afraid, that are saying like, no, it's a bad movie, it's something that I will not watch. I encourage people to say, hey,
Yeah,
oh,
go out and watch in the cinema. It's like the best place where you can watch the movie as intended, like it was like intended in the productions, right?
yeah, and at some point right now, I don't know what you feel right now, Max, but we are we are coming back to the cinema. Okay,
Yeah, and I
before
love that.
series are nice, so on, all of that OTTs, but people are coming back to the cinemas, and I love that. I love that. It's a completely different experience.
Exactly. And so Diego, before we move on and talk about Barbie, what about if I do a little housekeeping at the front, right?
Yes,
So
are we going to give Barbie t-shirts to the people,
Barbie t-shirts.
or
Why
or the Barbie house to the people?
we don't have the right for that probably.
Ah, Max on
I
Barbie.
know. I know, right? So so guys, if you are interested to see what's happening at Maxon, what the upcoming webinars and so on, you can head up to maxon.net/events, and you can see that there are plenty of events happening today, and also tomorrow there will be VFX and Chill with Hasi and Seth. And on Monday, there will be new demystifying post production series about UV workflows. So if you're into UV workflows, be sure to check that out. And Deborah Wright will be back in Ask the Trainer next Thursday. So if you enjoyed the last demystifying post production series with Deborah, you probably want to check out the Ask the Trainer next Thursday. Right. Speaking of t-shirts, because Diego was mentioning t-shirts before, if you're new to the webinar and you want to get some merchandise, if you haven't get it, you can still get any of this listed merchandise here, and the link will be in the chat.
No pink.
And yeah, and the code for today is Maxon UV workflows. So by entering this link in your browser, you will be redirected to a super secret shop that needs a code, and the code for today is Maxon UV workflows. All right, so you can get the T-shirt for free. You just need to pay for the shipping costs, which is not much really. And if you want to check out the recording of all the Maxon webinars, you can simply go to YouTube, type in Maxon Training Team, and it will be there. And what's nice about these recordings, they will be timestamped. So if you want to just skip the boring part, like what I'm doing here at the moment, you can just like click the timestamps and go exactly to the topics that you want to hear. And that's like the work of love of Dr. Sasi. Thank you so much for doing that. Right? Okay. I think that's enough for the spiel about the housekeeping. Let's jump into our how do you call it, agenda today. What do you think, Diego?
Yes, so I mean, we're going to talk about Barbie. So you say that what you like more about Barbie was the art, the color,
The
the
art
set
directions,
work.
yes.
So I will say to you, let's look at some stills of Barbie,
Yeah,
and
let's
let's
do
comment
that.
about the colors, the texture, all of the things that Barbie has, because I'm agree with you. For me, it's a beautiful movie. It's
It
the kind
is.
of movie
Yeah.
that you should watch it in a big screen, the best screen possible. The artwork is amazing, and also you share me an article for the of a
Yeah,
magazine that is explaining, and we will talk more about that article.
exactly. So if you
But
guys want
beautiful.
to know the movie Inside Out, how it was, not the movie Inside Out. I mean the movie Barbie Inside Out, not to get confused with the Inside Out movie. I will share you an article which is like very nice. I actually got that
Technical
article
article about
exactly.
cinematography, and color. It's a great
it,
article.
it actually breaks down the cinematography, how Barbie was shot, how the intentions and the lighting that they use, the camera, the lenses, and so on, even the look. So I think that's like the healthy idea of if you want to recreate the. I think that's the healthy, how do you call it, options if you want to uh, know the movie inside out and try to recreate the look. Of course, if you want to create the look, exactly like Barbie, you need the footage that has like the same photography like that, right? But
And
if
I
we
mean,
have
I will
like
not say even the same photography is art, and
it
that's
is
one of
art, yeah,
the most interesting things about I mean Barbie is that
yeah,
most of the set were real. So I don't know if we can share my screen to start looking at
exactly.
some images. There we sit. Do we sit?
Not yet. It takes some times.
All right.
We haven't seen your screen yet.
It's weird. All right. There you
No.
are.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, one of the most interesting things about the article and that we were commenting before, Max, is that most of the work of Barbie is art, is the department of art, the set designer, and also there is a wonderful story about the pink, because Barbie is pink. So what they were saying about the pink, Max?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think we should give the credit to the wonderful people that made this happen. The cinematographer was Rodrigo Prieto, and he was six-time Oscar nominated, and also the production designer was Sarah Greenwood, and she was like five-time Oscar nominated, and the costume designer was Jacqueline Duran, which is like one-time Oscar winning. And you know what? The interesting thing about these three peoples, they brainstorm for over a year to crack the visual code of Barbie. And it is also in the mentioned in the article if you want to follow along and read the article. And yeah, Diego mentioned about pink, and they were trying, like in the article, they were saying that they're trying to emulate a lot of like shades of pink, and they have problems whenever they use a certain type of pink because it will go gray when it is paired with the blue. So one of the pinks that they're using is like the available pink in the Pantone card, which is called Rosa Mexicano, and that's a like a really nice and interesting um, thing that you can get when digging into this articles, right? And shall I continue, Diego, or do you...
No, what I will say is
Yeah,
that is they say that they explore also like thousand shades of pinks,
exactly.
trying to find one, trying to find one, trying to find one, and at the end that Rosa Mexicano,
Hmm.
the director of photography says that's the only color you can find in Mexico. So at some point it was like searching for the pink can be
Yeah,
like the behind the scenes of this story.
I think by today they have enough pink. They see enough pink. They see enough
Yes,
shade of
yes.
pink.
I'm sure they are tired
Yeah.
about pink right now.
Absolutely. And what's nice is that Greta Gerwig, the director, wants this like toy feeling for the movie, right? So the idea is that it has to feel like it's an open world. It's innocent and it looks like toy, but not to be like toy-ish, so to say. And they attempt to achieve this with the photography. And what's interesting also from the article is that they use large format camera to achieve that kind of look. So if you mind, let me share my
But actually,
screen.
before going so technical,
Hmm.
Max, I would love to I don't know I would love to explore a little bit about the set.
Yes,
This like,
absolutely.
for example, if you see this is all created. This is all
Yes.
real. What you see it, and it's kind of you feel like in a Barbie world. And for example, one of the things that I like more in the movie is, for example, these parts when
Yeah.
it's like an animation, it's like you feel like an old movie. And for example, they are here riding bicycle, and here they are like I don't know going to the moon, and it feels like a movie from I don't know from the 20s or
Yeah.
30s, 40s probably, when you feel like I don't know like old craft or like one paper here, one paper here, and one paper here. And this part, I don't know. In my case, I love it. It was
I
like
love that montage.
going from
Really. Yeah.
a Barbie world so perfect, now going to that theater. at some point, like all story theater. And for example, I want to share to people one video before going to technical about how they were doing that on set. And let me show you.
Yes, you can see in the background, the sky is not like LED volume. It's painted sky with a painted miniature somewhere like that. So it's pretty much like the same what they did with the asteroid city when they tried to recreate the props, the how do you call it, the look of the city itself, right, Diego?
Yes, and at some point it's like, okay, we have many technologies now to do this, but
Yeah,
they choose the, I mean, the classic technology, like the theater technology.
yeah.
Like even at some point, let me show it to you. Here this part is like you see a person here. You see a person like, hey, come on, start doing it, start doing it. So this is one of the most beautiful things about the movie. Is like it has different aesthetics. It has
Yeah.
different aesthetics. One is for example this one that you can find it here, but
Yeah.
the other one is the Barbie world, and the other one that is another aesthetic is when they are in Los Angeles. When they
Oh
are
yes.
so I will say that they have three different worlds,
Yeah.
and every world is created and based on the story. And the most beautiful thing is that it's created on set. On set. That's actually amazing. They don't wait at some point till post to fix it and so on. They say, okay, let's do it on set.
Yeah.
That's something unbelievable of this beautiful movie. All right, and that was a comment I wanted to say about the craft of the recording of the shooting. And now let's go to the technical, Max.
Exactly. And if you like watch carefully, let me share my screen. So if you watch carefully, like Barbie Land had it's like it has its own certain feeling, right? It has like this toy feeling, but it looks so amazing, so to say. It's soft and it's clean, and apparently, according to the article that we shared with you, Greta Gerwig want to achieve like this feeling, like when you are doing like a toy photography, right? When you are doing toy photography, you probably know this type of effect, right? Since we are standing very close to the object itself, and the object is very small, our perspective compress the look of this feeling, the look of the um, scenes, right? So we have like this very shallow depth of field, and sometimes we can also recreate that in post by blurring like the top and the bottom part of it, and those effect is called the tilt shift. And if we like read the article again, you probably also know that there are plenty of there are some effects that they try to recreate that feeling, but also on top of that, um, instead of like shooting with any other like normal camera like super 35 sensor or something, they decided to go to use 60 millimeter 65 millimeter sensor size, so it's a large format. And using large format camera, you normally have like a shallower depth of field with the same focal length. So here an image that I found from Petapixel. It's just a comparison between like a full frame camera with a large format camera. And as you can see, with the same focal length and aperture, the large format camera gives you like this feeling, like a very soft and out of focus bokeh. And as you can see, the same focal length, one in the full frame and one with a um, large format, and then also the same. And if you like kind of compare it, like you kind of see that probably using like a large format camera for the scene, you can kind of like getting like this very softer depth of field to emulate that kind of like toy photography or tilt shift effects right in camera. So I think that's just my bet after reading the article. And also, not just that, apparently the lighting setup for the set is also very complicated and it's very thorough. And they use like multiple RE6 S60 sky panels for like the color reproduction. So those are the majority of the lights. And they also use some LED to do like the sparkles for like this scenes over here. So all these sparkles were achieved with the LED lights. And also, not just that, if you watch the movie, you'll see that the movie has like a very strong, like this kicker light or rim light. And apparently, they use like tens of like 100K soft sun light. And that was just for the, how do you call it? Um, the rim light to achieve like this beach feeling. And then also, um, to get more of a sunset feel, the ambient light was balanced at 22,000 Kelvin, which made the whole set go very blue and look strange. And then they changed the camera settings to make it like 1200K, which appeared neutral. But then since soft sun, it was like in 5,600 Kelvin. So by setting the camera to that setting to 12,000K, it becomes like, the soft sun looks a little bit more warmer compared to the sky panels. And one more thing is that I was so surprised that they're mentioning that they're using Breeze light. And I am not familiar if Breeze is used a lot in filmmaking, but I know that Breeze lights, similar to what Broncolor has, like Para 33,000, 3,300, 330, it's apparently the same parabolic light that normally be used in a fashion photography. So the idea of this light is that um, it makes soft and hard light at same time. So you probably already know, if you're doing photography, you probably already know, if you're using like softbox, you got like a very soft light. But then if you not using any light modifier, you have like a very sharp and hard light. And hard light is very nice for the textures because it accentuate the textures. But with the soft light, it kind of like soften everything down, right? So the idea of para is kind of like mixing, or the breeze light or this parabolic light. The idea is of it is like kind of like mixing this soft light source and hard light source at the same time. And they're using it for, I think, mainly to like light Barbie when she was in the dollhouse. um all those informations can be found in this article, and the link that we just sent you in the chat.
Yeah. Also,
So
one thing that I love to say about that, I don't know if you can put the still that you have in full screen right now in Resolve,
which one? This one?
the one you have in Resolve right now,
This one?
this one full screen.
Yeah.
So, for example, also one of the most interesting things is that in the Barbie world you don't see shadows, you don't see like light
Very soft
contrast.
shadows. Yeah.
It's like everything is soft, but it's like, I mean, it's like a toy world at some point.
Yeah.
So most of the depth was was doing it based on the color contrast. Color
That's
contrast
a
to
nice
create depth.
observations. Yeah.
Yes, to create depth. And for example, here you see, I mean, the palette is not so big. The palette is not so big, but it's like creating that depth that we see that she's in the front and she's at the end. And
Yeah.
at the end, we see some, like, I don't know, the sun and so on. And it's really interesting what you say about that they use the light to create that kind of sunset
Yeah.
feeling.
And imagine, man, it's like 100 watt, 100K watt lights to
I'm sure
achieve
people
the
were
rim
getting
light.
tan. People were getting tan also.
Wow. So yeah, I think, if you want to get like exactly the same look for Barbie, I think like the first thing first is like, getting the photography right, which is like in this case it's a little bit hard.
But I will say getting the art right.
Getting the art right, the art
That's the
direction
first thing.
right.
That's
Yes.
the first thing. They can have all of that light, but if they don't have the set, they cannot make Barbie.
Cecilia just mentioned cyan, magenta, yellow, some green and purple. Yeah,
The color
very
palette.
nice observations.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually a beautiful palette.
Awesome. And also, what nice is that they use two different cameras, by the way. So in Barbie Land, they use like this large format camera, I think RE65. And for the Los Angeles, the real world, they use like the normal Super 35 sensor. So that's like the difference between the two. And also, if you read in the article, there are also some directions that they mentioned. First, the director came up with a lot. Not the director, sorry, the colorist and the color scientist develop a lot, and also the cinematographer, by the way, those three people, the Holy Trinity. They develop a lot, which the director Greta Gerwig call it the Techno Barbie LUT. And there was like, okay, what is this Techno Barbie LUT? But apparently, we figure after reading the article, we figure out that this is like an iterations of LUT that they're using for the killers of the flower moons, which is it's not streaming yet. It will be in Apple TV. But if you can see that, you can really see the characteristic of the LUT before it is modified, right? So on top of like this LUT that they modified, they also developed a certain plugins for basslight, which is called the PPL, which is like the abbreviations of the name of the people that creating that
A lot.
OFX.
The perfect,
So
yeah.
it was just the name of the color scientist, the colorist, and the cinematographer. So if we try to look here, so there are probably like three different ingredients mentioned in the articles. First is the Techno Barbie LUT, which is like based on the three strips film emulations. And the second one is the PPL, which is, in my opinion, it's probably some types of like shifting hues and saturations. So like uh, something that you can use to shift hue and saturations, or shift colors around. And the third, apparently, they also use a custom film emulations to be paired with a Techno Barbie LUT. So there are like the three main ingredients that we saw, at least in the color grading side. So I think, you know, knowing that information, we can also try to reproduce the idea of the look creations, right? I think like last couple of session ago, Diego, I was mentioning, no, I think it was like the previous sessions. I was mentioning that, if we want to try to borrow the look of certain film or certain project, I think it's nice if we try to borrow the principles of the look development behind that, instead of just um, moving your sliders around to get like a graphically perfect reproductions for that.
Yeah, that
Because
will be, I mean, what you say is completely logical at some point. I will not say that if you move all the sliders, you will find something similar. But
yeah,
if you at some point help yourself, reading, for example, this article and reading the one they were using, it will definitely give you some clues about how to achieve that look and how to achieve it logically. Because at some point, color grading, yes, is emotion, but the look creation is logical.
yeah.
So that's what we're going to see now.
And yeah, without further ado, apparently, Diego, we are already 30 minutes past. Oh wow,
I
time
told you.
flies
I
by.
told you.
um I was thinking, previously, prior to go live, I thought I talked to Diego. I don't think we have enough content, and apparently there you go.
I told
um
you.
So, what I want to walk you through today is probably like borrowing the concept of the look recreations of Barbie. So first, as we already mentioned before, there are three types, that the three things that we want to emulate. First is like to emulate like this Technicolor three strips process, and the how do you
The
call it,
color shift.
the
The
color
color shift.
shift,
Yes,
and
and then
then
the film
the
emulation.
custom film emulations, right?
So what
um
is that? What is the three strip?
so yeah, the three strips is
What is that
originated
Chinese?
from, it's originated from the like a capture methodology back in the day, I think in the 30s. There is a link that I can share with you guys all. There's a PDF that talk about the three color process, and also the specs of Technicolor number 4 three strips. I think I'll share that links later on after finish explaining to you. So the three strips film process is that, prior to three strips, there was like this process called the two strips. Why not, right?
And
what
one is strip.
and
What was it? Black
and
and
two
white.
strips is like a combination of film that has red and green on top of it, and then when they merge together, it will reproduce a certain color, right? So seeing that the two strips film normally faded very fast, and Technicolor decided to develop a new camera that record three black and white film simultaneously. One is like recording the red channel. The second one is recording the blue channel, and the third one is recording the third, how do you call it, the green channel. So red, green, and blue. Uh, how did they do that? By putting a how do you call it, a prism that split the light. Inside the prism, there's like this cyan, magenta, and yellow filter. I'm not quite sure about that, but there's a filter that split the light. I think there's a green and magenta filter or something like this, and it splits the light into red, green, and blue. And then after that, these three films will be developed by a process called the imbibitions. The imbibitions is the other name of the imbibitions is dye transfer. So David B says, "I doubt there's magenta filter." Yeah, you're probably right, David. You can like go and check the three strip film process. But what I want to mention here is that the three strips film process, it's a mix between the subtractive and additive process. And upon like researching in the internet, I stumbled upon a one great colorist that mentions the approach to recreate the math inside Resolve. His name is Tim Yemax. So I think that's worth how do you call it? Worth visiting. What I want to show you is that the math that he came that he how do you call it, that he invented, so to say. So we have like the red, green, and blue output, right? Or better off, let me just show you the process.
Yeah.
it's-
Don't
it-
show us much. Don't show us
yeah,
that.
we don't have time enough, right? So let me just create a new versions. All right, now we're talking. So here I have my image, right? It's a ReLoxy. So because I want to work inside ACES, I put my IDT and ODT, and it's just ACES transform, right? From ReLoxy into ACES and my ODT is from ACES goes to my display color space, which is Rec 709, right? And what normally the process is achieved through the use of RGB mixer, right? So here is like one interesting thing about RGB mixer. If we have just the red channel available, right, we have like this very red image. But then if we introduce the same color in the green and blue output, so for example, if I make the red in green and the red in blue output, we got like this black and white image. So using this principle, we can probably emulate the process of like having like a three strips black and white film developed through the imbibition process. So the first thing is that let's create 3 different layer, and let's let's disable this. All right. So the first one is my how do you call it? The black and white for red channel.
All right.
The second one would be my green channel, right?
Black and white. All
Just
right.
black and white. So
Okay.
everything is one there in the green. Preserve luminance needs to be turned off.
I need to
And
go
the
and look.
third one,
All right.
the third one will be the blue one, right? So let's just turn off this one and pump the blue to 1. Okay, right. So now let me,
I think you
what
didn't turn off preserve luminance in the first note. Okay, you did.
I
You
did,
did.
I did,
Sorry.
I did.
There you are.
Yeah. So what we can do is that we can create another layer mixer, 2 of them. Okay. So here we will set the layer mixer into subtract. Okay, we want to create a subtract layer mixer. And because layer mixer cannot be connected right away to another node, we need to create one like node, right? And here I want to create another layer mixer, 3 of them because we have 3 channels. And here I can set the layer mixer instead of subtract, I can set it into add. So first I want to subtract it, and then after that I want to add it. Okay, here again, another node. And finally, I need another layer mixer in the add with the add for the final mixer. So we'll mix this together. And here, let's create another one and put it here. Okay, so now we have like the basic ready. But here is the interesting thing, right? We want to mix this or subtract this red, green, and blue, like black and white, with the opposite color. So we probably want to subtract red with a, what's the opposite of red? Cyan, sorry. So in order to do that, we can just simply create another node that is only half of this node, right? So here we have full red. I just want to reduce it to just half of it. Here also half of it. The third one is also half of it. Okay, so now the fun thing begin. So we can port this first, the red one, the 100% red, and we want to reduce it with cyan. So cyan is a green, is a mixture between green and blue, right? So I think that note 3 says, no, it couldn't be done with the splitter combiner. Yeah, I think Tim Yemax is also play around with a splitter combiner, and apparently the math didn't work with that. So here, I will subtract the 100% red with 50% green, and then I will, this need to be ported first, sorry. And I will add the 50% of blue in the second layer mixer, all right? And the second one is the green, 100% green. It will be subtracted with magenta. Magenta is just the mixtures of red and 50% blue. And the third one will be blue subtracted by yellow, and yellow is the combinations of red and green, right? So at the moment, it doesn't look like much, but that's just because we need to turn on our red, green, and blue channel again. So here, the first one is just the red. The second one is just the green, preserve luminance, off. And the third one is just the blue. And by doing that, we can have like this looks quite fast. So before and after before and after. And
So
then,
now
like,
everyone needs to do that in home.
everyone needs to do that,
Everyone,
right?
everyone.
No, I mean, if you ask me, is it like, Max? Is it like the correct reproductions of it? It's like, I don't think so. But is it close enough? Probably, right? So we can create a compound node here, and here we can just call it as 3 strips. Okay, and the next one, since now we have our 3 strips, right? We want to do the how do you call it, the color
The
shift, and
color
then
shift,
also
the color,
the
yeah.
film emulations, right? There are 2 ways that we can do today, guys. We can do like with Magic Bullet looks, and also I will show you some ways that you can do with the native resolve tools, right? At the moment, if you want to, we can bake these 3 strips as a LUT, and then we can load that inside Magic Bullet looks and start from there. But we can also combine it like this. So why not? Let's just create one node here, and let's just play with Magic Bullet looks first. And let's see. So here, I'll just set my color management into ACES CCT because that's the space I am working in. I want to preview it in Rec 709, of course. So inside Magic Bullet tools, Magic Bullet looks, there is like this custom film profile, right? Film negative and film print. Instead of like emulating the film negative, I probably just want to emulate the film print right away. And here I can use the Kodak 2383. It's just like a personal preference. There's no mention in the article that they use Kodak 2383. You can also use Fuji film stocks, but I just rather to use the 2383. And perhaps we can reduce the contrast just slightly, maybe around things like this. And you know what? We can also reduce the total amount of the film emulations itself, maybe just around 50. Okay. And next, we can also try to recreate the color shift. And in this case, we can use color remap, because color remap is, the tool that you can as easy as pick one patch of color like this and change it to something else. And what's nice with color remap is that it is working inside the JZ-AZ-BZ color space, which is a perceptually uniform color space, same like LAB. You probably already know LAB. We talk about that pretty much like a lot of times. But it's like the more modern versions of LAB. So in the color remap, there's like this nice presets called color checker. So it's just like the presets of this color checker. What I can do is that I can just remove the color checker, the patch that I don't need, and I can just keep the patch that I want to work with. So here I have cyan, magenta, yellow, red, green, and blue. I'll keep that. And this one, I don't need that. That one also, no. And I probably keep the 2 patches that is representing the color of the skin tone, right? So in this case, we know that the pink was derived, one of the pink shades was derived from Rosa Mexicano. So why not? Let's sample Rosa Mexicano. And just by doing that, we pretty much like remapping the pink into Rosa Mexicano. And also, while we are here, we can also do the color density, right? So we can try to make like the most saturated color a little bit darker. So in this case, perhaps let's go to red and reduce the luminance slightly. Green as well. And blue. And also yellow and the blue. Okay, and what if you read in the article as well, the director says that the skin tone she wants that the skin tone goes into more like desaturated and pastel territory. So we can try to do that with this and reduce the saturation just slightly, not too much. And perhaps with that one as well, just very
So
soft.
most of the things that you are doing there is just like you have like the real color or the real color of the color chart and send it to the color of the look, right?
Exactly.
All right.
So the color chart, it's like, how do you call it? It is remap into this JZAZBZ color space, and then after that, it is out again into the ACESicity, ACES AP1, sorry, primaries. So what we can also do here while we're in Magic Bullet Looks is that perhaps we can try to emulate the softness of the film by using the optical diffusions, but just very low amount. Okay, maybe we can use glimmer glass slightly, reduce the opacity around 60, and change the quality into best. And also, we can try to emulate the tilt shift using the swing tilt. All right, In- increase the quality of the blur and reduce the blur size. And also, we can just like
So the reason you're doing
move
the
it.
tilt shift is because what you show us before is that most of the photos of toys
Exactly.
has
It's
that illusion, right?
exactly. It's just like to make the recreate the tilt shift effect as if when we are
That
trying
at
to
some point, like the tilt shift
photograph.
is like blur in at the top and blur at the bottom, right?
Hmm.
All right, good. And then you use the color remap to swap some colors and to change the shift, the color, and the density of every color. The optical diffusion was like to create that glow at some point.
Yeah. What's nice about optical diffusions is that
Yes, it's like
it,
creating
it
a glow, kind of, right?
exactly, and it is also it's also mimicking the real behavior of lights. I think I talked with Stu the other day, and he was mentioning that our optical diffusions and then the halations is working in the principles of energy conserving. I mean, if you're familiar with 3D rendering, um, it operates using that how do you call it principle. It means that it's not recreating the source of light itself, but it is just using whatever energy available, light energy available in the scene, and then just working with that. So with that being said, if you're using any optical diffusions or halations, you will not change the exposure of the clip.
All right, perfect. And
Yeah.
then you use the film print emulation to have
Hmm.
like a contrast or a
And then the split toning, right? The color separation, so to say.
okay, split toning, color separation, and fill contrast.
Yeah.
And basic question: why you are using that shot and not a shot of
I was initially trying. I think it's just a hiccup in my side, Diego. I really want to use the Barbie one, but I use this because it has like the color color. How do you call it?
the color chart?
Color checker.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, the color
exactly,
checker. I mean, that's the reason. You have the color checker, you have the grays, and
exactly.
also at the left you have like
The
these
whites.
the wipes to see the focus and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually, I mean, in most of the cases, what Max is doing right now is in the process of look development, and to have
Because I
that
want.
kind of
Yeah.
shots is perfect to evaluate how the colors are going to shift and how the image is going to be affected by the look he's creating.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that I would say you are using this shot.
Exactly.
It's perfect to evaluate what you are doing with the look.
Yeah. Thank you, Diego. And also, if we want to adjust the color temperature, we can also use the color blend and just use it like very lightly, soft, like light-handed, something like that. And finally, because we are using film print emulations here, you can add grain, but I don't think the movie has like so many grain in it, right, Diego? It looks pretty clean. But if
Yes.
you want to, you can use renoiser. Just use like a very small
No, don't
amount
use
of
it. Don't use
grain.
it. It's Barbie. Barbie's clean.
Yeah.
Barbie is aesthetic.
Look, what you can also do is like probably like something like this with zero amount.
Barbie born in the digital world, not in the film
Yeah.
world.
ex- I mean, at the moment, I don't change anything. Like, I don't have any
It's
grain
giving a little bit of focus. Yeah.
exactly, but I can just like add very little amount of grain. You hardly notice that, but then I can add the density of the grain itself by pimping. How do you call it? Increasing the texture, maybe around 90, and increase the sharpening, maybe around 15. So this is like before, after. I mean, it's very minimum, and I don't think you can notice that throughout the stream. So it's your call, really, if you want to or you don't want to, and we can just use it. So if you're using Magic Bullet looks, let me know in the chat, and I can send you this presets if you want to. Okay, and that would be it. So that would be like the how do you call it, the process that I will be using. Okay,
Right.
so if the same look applied to this image, for example, and this is like the three strip process, and this is like the Magic Bullet looks exactly the same adjustment like before. The three strip process used only halfway, so it's only 50% instead of one. Okay, and with Magic Bullet looks on top of that. And I think using that, I think it can work. So, oh, where is the, how do you call it? Compare. There you go. Version, selected clips. I think using this, I can use this look to grade, to do my color grade under this look to recreate the Barbie look. But look development is just halfway of the story, because Diego will walk you through the color grading process of it, right? But since, as we promised before, we want to show you like another method instead of using Magic Bullet looks, if you don't have Magic Bullet looks, because Christian Forero was asking in the chat, is Magic Bullet looks inside DaVinci or is it an external plugin? It is an external plugin from Maxon, Christians. And the other process that I can emulate this type of look using the, how do you call it, using the
The
native
DaVinci
tools
the
inside
result. All right.
Resolve, is also using the similar principle like before, right? So we have the same three strips, this one, or I can just use the same one here, and
Yeah.
it is exactly the same stuff that I showed you before. Okay, and on top of that, we can do the print film emulations using the film looks inside Resolve. Let me
Yeah,
just
the 2383
show.
in this
Okay,
case.
so you can apply the LUT film looks, the 2383 D55 in my case, and since I'm working in ACES, I need to go in and out ACES shortly, because the LUT is asking you for Rec 709 Cineon, right? So in this case, I can use the input color space. I can use color space transform to transform my footage from ACES AP1 ACESicity to Rec 709 with Cineon film log tone curve, and then apply the LUT. And then after that, pretty much reverse the effect of the LUT, which is generating the Rec 709 Gamma 2.4 image and going back to ACES AP1 ACESicity, right? So that was just the film emulations plus the three strips. And since we know that in between the Techno Barbie LUT and then the film emulations, there's like color shift in between, right? So we can try to emulate that using the color warper, for example, right? So in this case, I just like eyeball the pink or the magenta towards the rosa mexicano. Okay, and I already export this look out, the one that is recreated inside DaVinci Resolve native tools, and I have sent it to Diego. And Diego, do you want to show
There you go. Yeah.
the further iterations of the look, so to
Let's do
say?
it. Let's do
All
it.
right, let's do it, man.
All right. So yeah, so all what Max did was the look development. With that look development, you can create the dailies. And now we're going to show at some point how to organize the project with that look and how to start the grading. It will be a short part, but I mean, it can show you some different workflows. So now you probably see my screen, and for example, this is the final version of the editing. It's just a girl is skating, sits in a bench, and then go skating in different parts of the city. And at the end, in this part, what she's doing is that she's going to another part of the city, and it has some different colors. So let's think that this part of the scene is the part when we are going to recreate something similar as Barbie. First thing, we are not doing the same because we don't have the artwork. That's the first thing you have to think. We don't have all the scenarios and so on. So it will not be absolutely the same. And this other part that we have here is the part when we have the real world, or let's think that in Barbie is California. So definitely, it's like, don't think that the same lot will work in the same scenarios. So we will tweak a little bit with that. And that's actually one of the reasons that, for example, in this case, Max sent us all the node structure, not only the lot. Because if he sends us just one lot, it will be just a print image or a print like preset that I cannot affect. In this case, I can affect it. Okay, so the first thing that I will do here is I will create groups. One group for Barbie. This part will be Barbie. Here is, I will going to create one group. Sorry, okay. Let me show you here. This group is Barbie start. Okay, and this one over here is going to be a, let's think that this is LA start. All right, so now we have two groups. So what are we going to do in the first pre-clip of the group? We're going to load the IDT. Max already explained it. The IDT is going to be the one that is going to convert the any sources to ACCCT. And then what I'm going to do is here in the timeline, because everything has the same, I'm going to put the ODT. There you go. And now I have already a image in ACES mapped to a Rec 709 display. Okay, so what about the LUT? Actually, not the LUT, the look show that Max sent it to me. So in this case, I will load it in the post clip. In the post clip, I have here the look of the show, and I will drag it. And here you have. This is what Max did before. And
Oh, I
here,
forgot to explain the tilt shift.
it's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay. So the tilt shift is the same, actually the same structure that
yeah.
Max did before in using looks. It's just two windows. Let me explain it to you really fast. It's just here. It's just two windows. And if I look at the alpha, it's going to be something like that. And he's adding, in this case, this blur. You can also use the tilt shift in an OpenFX, and it makes a really similar effect.
Mm.
So here I have the tree strip, the warp, the same one he used it. In Resolve, we can use it using the color warper. We can use the also do this color shift using our curves, hue versus sat, hue versus hue. And also we have one effect that is called color compressor. So the color compressor is also helping us. For example, we want that Rosa Mexicano, everything one pink. So we can map it really fast if we want to do it. So based on that, what I have here is I have the pre-clip with the IDT, the post-clip with the look of the show, the timeline with the ODT. And for example, what we can say is, okay, we have another scenario, this one. So let's add the IDT. We already added here. Let me add it here, the IDT. This is the IDT. And here in this part, we can say the look of the show in the post clip. Probably the here the warp, we don't need it because it's going to change the color. And if you already watched Barbie in Los Angeles, it's really a normal city. I mean, one of the things that interesting in the article is that it was saying that when we go to Los Angeles, yes, it's a sunny city, it's kind of a beautiful city, but in this case, the beautiful city is Barbie Land. It's not Los Angeles. So they wanted to differentiate that. So because of that, what I will say is like I will disable warp, I will disable a little bit of saturation, and I will disable the tilt shift because I don't need it. And that's actually the advantage of having this separate. I don't need all of the I need to tweak every part of the of things. So based on that, I already have like what the main setup, and now it's going to be like the part of the grading. Let's start doing it. So here, what I can do is we can start using a normal structure. So for example, the first thing can be like the exposition, the expo of the shot. Then we can create another node when we are going to balance. Then let me go actually to this shot that is better here. Then we are going to create another node that can be like color adjustments. So what that can be color adjustment, for example, we can say that, okay, here I have some still references and look at the blue in Barbie, but I don't have this blue. So because it's not in the LUT, so what I can do is use these tools, hue versus hue, hue versus sat, or even the color warper to get that blue. And because maybe in this case, I will need to reproduce these kind of colors a lot, so I can add a parallel to have these different color adjustments. It can be in hue, it can be in saturation, and also in density. I can use it here or even qualifier, the tool that you needed. So based on that, one of the things that are more important in Barbie is the skin. The skin is absolutely important, so we need to have a node for the skin, maybe 2 or 3. The other one, maybe
That's the money there, right, Diego? The
that's the
skin.
money. I'm sure. I don't know how many nodes they have for Margot for the
Yeah,
act.
I don't know, man.
I mean, she's
I, I'm
beautiful for
I'm
sure.
curious. Well,
Yes,
yes, she's an artist for a reason. I mean,
yes, I know. So we can have I don't know many nodes. Then we have. I mean, we'll be interested to have something of focus, something like a. Yes, we have one tilt shift blur here in the look, but for example, in my case, I will prefer having this one, but then having one separate for each node just to check how is it, and then this can be like I don't know, like something like a trim in case we need it.
yeah,
Yes, we can have
because
more nodes
because
for
every
sure.
shot sometimes it's different, no, right, Diego? And you
Yes,
need
every
to,
shot is different, so
yeah,
we need to trim it. And then what we can do is based on that information, we have this node structure in most of the shots. I copy the node structure in all of the shots. And when I have this already, like this is just, let's think this is just color management, setup of the project. I still haven't made anything. So what I can do after is that I can start like working in every node. So for example, this is at some point the process that I'm getting. And in this case, for example, in this shot, what I found is, okay, I have this thing here, this shot. Let me just disable the node that I have here. And this is from the LUT. In the expo, I'm fixing a little bit the shot. Then in the balance, what I found is a little bit, I don't know, warm. So I'm fixing the temperature. In most of the cases, I did this work with the HDR tool. And
Hmm.
then if I need it, I don't know, check the skin here or check the skin after. It's up to you. And here in the color sheet, what I found is, for example, the green is really yellow. and it's really bright. So here I'm fixing it. And for example, here in this shot, what I'm doing is fixing the sky. Fixing the sky a little bit. Let me show it here. It's better. Fixing the
Yeah.
sky and one for the blue, for the green. Because the green of the original shot is really a yellow. So doing that is just matching. For sure, we can add more. I didn't add here, like for example, a node for the skin, but definitely we will need to add it. We'll add it here, yeah, for the skin. Let me show you here. And this is just a mask using the object mask, and then oops, and then just using mid-tone detail. And soft
Mm.
can be using mid-tone detail, and I can use windows to isolate different parts. And at some point, that will be like the organization of the one node structure to start grading. So we did the look development, and we applied all of the look here in the post clip. The look probably is working really good in this part, but in this part, I took the personal opinion to say, no, I don't need the shift. I don't
Yeah.
need the blur. So I turn off different, like, I don't need the print emulation. So I turn off different things. And then in the clip, what I was doing was at some point, the hardest and the longest part. That is matching, checking clip per clip, and comparing all the scenes.
So with that being said, the look development is just really just half of the story, and grading is another half of the story, right, Diego?
Yeah, but I will say half, but so important. So
It
important. The
is.
look is adding. Let me show you this shot actually. Just disabling the look. Look. Let me actually put it in full screen. So the look development is doing a lot in the shot. Also, for example, this one here. And that's one of the things that at some point the look development is really important because it's giving us the ability of, like, I don't know, like let's think that like a template. We are going to
Yeah.
fit there. And what we are doing in the grading is, yes, we are fitting. We're fitting there. Yes, we need to correct things because it will not be automatically.
Yeah.
And that's something that you always need to know when you are doing this process. It will not be automatically. But then you have all the nodes to start tweaking and start like grading all the scene together.
And I think what Diego just showed us as well before, that he's also doing some modifications of the look. It means like, I mean, the look development is there, and you can still modify it. With the ability to modify the look development, probably, if you have any other different project, you can try to use exactly the same look and drive that very same look to really another different directions, and it could may or may not working. What do you think, Diego?
Yes, yes. I mean, that's one of the things that you as a colorist need to know, and this is one of the reasons that most of the colorists are in the look development
Yeah. And
because they can say like they can take like the decisions to say, okay, let's start, for example, in this case, the tree strip. You send me the tree strip in with this opacity, so I
yeah.
can say no. I mean, it's too little. Let's do it more, something like that, and I can start to it.
And now we can try to make it look like Ozark or something.
Yeah, I mean,
But it's
we
not the
have
scope of the show today.
that will be for another show.
That will be.
Barbie Ozark.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's Barbie Heimer, why not Barbie Ozark?
Yeah, Barbenheimer. Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Well, thank you so much, Diego. That was like a really nice walkthrough to the process of color grading. And yeah, I hope you guys can learn something today. And there is also a question before in the chat from Christian Forero. He was asking, is it better to do the color management in how do you call it, in the project settings, or do you recommend to do color management in the node level. I was answering him that it really depends case by case, but I normally generally advise people to do the project settings color management. But it just happened that with some setup, like for example here with the three strips process that I showed you before, it will not work when the color management settings is done in the project level. It will look like crazy. So it really depends in case by case.
Yes, and there is another one also. Christian is asking about, can this look of the show can share with the DITs as a LUT or as a DIT or as a
Absolutely.
CDR?
Absolutely. I think you can bake all this lot. I think you can bake all this how do you call it, look that we develop, especially the one inside that was developed using Resolve native tools. You can bake them as a lot. And but the thing is that you need to be aware is that a lot will not be able to carry any spatial information. So like what happened between pixels will not be able to carry it through. So it means like if you do like power windows or secondaries or any textures, film grain, it will not be able to be carried inside the LUT. I think LUT can only carry like the color informations. Isn't that right, Diego?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean the most important thing is that at some point you saw that the look development of Mac was really logical, and some tools LUT are kind of, I mean, let's think that they don't go with everything. So create a LUT and test it,
Yeah,
and that way you will feel like, I don't know, like it works or not. For example, in
exactly.
this case, I will probably say, I don't know, maybe the color warp, I haven't tested, but I don't know, it will not work exactly not the same shot, but it's testing. Also the tilt shift probably, definitely.
Yeah. But if you're using Magic Bullet looks, for example, you can always just export it as a presets. So in case in the productions you are all using Red Giant software, you can just like export those presets and everything will be in the presets. And since it is a preset and it is not a lot, it will be able to carry a lot of informations, not just the color information. So for example, if you have like the diffusions, or if you have halations, or if you have any textures or whatsoever, you can just like give the presets or save the presets in a shared drive, and then after that everybody can access that. Okay, but that was a really nice question, Christians. And speaking of LUT, all right, speaking of LUT, here is a teaser for the next episode. If everything happened as planned, and if everything happened as planned, we will have another guest that is an expert in developing LUT. So let's demystify LUT in the next episode. Why not? Right?
Awesome. Will be interesting. That one will be really interesting for demystifying lab to think what is
Exactly.
before.
Because I think since the beginning of the show, last 2 years, Diego, we were always talking about LUT, but we never really talk about what is LUT and how do one goes to recreate a LUT or create a LUT or create a show LUT to be used in a project. So if you're interested more in LUT creations, be sure to join us in the next 2 weeks episode, because we'll be doing some interesting um, LUT demystifying things.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Let me just grab my screen. And yeah, again, as before, if you want to check all the events happening at Maxon, go to maxon.net/events, and you'll see that there are plenty of events happening. And if you haven't get the T-shirt, go get your free T-shirt now, and the code is Maxon UV Workflows, as you can see in your screen. There you go.
That's right.
So, and Kyle is posting the link in the chat. Thank you very much, Kyle. And one more thing is that if you want to watch the recording of these effects, I know you probably, if you're curious to recreate the look that we just create together, you can rewatch this because it will be available for reviewing in Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. Okay, and it will be time stamped as well. That's very nice. And also the Barbie articles that we shared with you guys. Don't forget to download that and read that. It's really amazing. Courtesy to how do you call it, Michael Zalapsky. He actually gave me the link to this wonderful gold mine about Barbie. Thank you,
Yeah,
Michael.
yeah, that movie is really a great recommendation. Actually, you learn a lot about color grading, reading what is behind.
Yeah. And yeah. And with that being said, don't forget to go and watch Barbie if you haven't. And I hope we don't spoil it too much for you guys. And
Yes,
thank you
and don't
very
forget
much
to take
for
the
joining
picture
us
inside the
today.
box.
Oh, and yes, exactly. Oh, I already closed that pictures. There you go.
All
I
right,
cannot
that's
find it
awesome.
anymore. Yeah. And if you want to try Magic Bullet looks, for sure, you can do that. Go to maxon.net and you can always download the 14 days trials. Okay. If you feel like want to play around with Magic Bullet looks, don't forget you can do that. Try the trial and let me know how you like it. And if you have any questions that you want to ask both of us, feel free to email us at maxoncolor@maxon.net. We check our emails and we reply them. Okay. And thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. Thank you, Cecilia, for coming today. Thank you, Christians, Greg, and we hope to see you in the next 2 weeks' time to demystify LUT. With that being
All right,
said,
yeah, see
have a
you.
nice one
See you soon.
and take care.
Bye.